Long ago, nestled between rolling green hills and whispering rivers, lay a serene and beautiful place called Bright Valley. This wasn't just any valley, it was a home built on kindness. People there lived in perfect harmony, always ready to lend a hand, to share whatever they had, and to support one another without a second thought. At the very heart of this community, in the center of the valley, stood a magnificent and ancient tree known as the heart tree. This tree was special. Its leaves, a vibrant shade of green, would emit a soft, warm glow every time someone performed a good deed. It was a living testament to the valley's spirit. But beyond the valley, past the jagged, rocky hills, lived a creature of shadow named Murk. Murk was the complete opposite of everything Bright Valley stood for. He fed on negativity, on fear, on anger, on selfishness. His very presence was a blight. Wherever his long, dark shadow passed, joy withered and laughter died. The flowers would droop, the birds would fall silent, and the air would grow cold. The heart tree was his ultimate target. He saw its glow as a challenge. He'd often whispered to himself in the desolate quiet of his domain, "If I can just fill that valley with my darkness, the people will turn on each other. They'll forget how to care, and the light will die." And so, one moonless, silent night, when the entire valley was deep in peaceful slumber, Murk began his slow, creeping advance toward Bright Valley. He moved like a fog, silent and unseen, his shadowy tendrils reaching out to touch the edges of the peaceful land. The next morning, the change was immediate and unsettling. The residents of Bright Valley woke up to a world that felt fundamentally wrong. The sky, usually a brilliant blue, was a dull, oppressive gray. The air, normally filled with the sweet scent of flowers, was heavy and stale. A strange tension settled over the community. Neighbors who had been friends for years suddenly found reasons to argue over the smallest things. Children, usually so full of life and laughter, felt a deep, unexplainable sadness and sat quietly, their games forgotten. The vibrant colors of the valley seemed muted, as if a layer of dust had settled over everything. And most alarmingly, the heart tree, the beacon of their community, was barely glowing. Its light was faint, flickering, almost extinguished. But not all hope was lost. A young child named Lena, known for her gentle heart and kind spirit, lived in a small cottage near the river. She sensed the shift more keenly than anyone. Drawn by an instinct she couldn't explain, she walked to the center of the valley and placed her small hand on the rough bark of the heart tree. She could feel a faint pulse, a weak warmth still emanating from within. She turned to an old gardener who was standing nearby, his face etched with worry, and said, "It's weak, but it's still alive." The old gardener, who had tended the valley's plants for decades, nodded slowly. He looked at Lena with wise, knowing eyes and replied, "Goodness never truly disappears, my child. It just waits. It waits for someone brave enough to choose it." Lena took the old gardener's words to heart. She knew she couldn't just stand by and watch the darkness consume her home. She decided to act. Her first small act of defiance against the gloom was simple. She saw an old man struggling to carry two heavy buckets of water from the well. She rushed to his side and, with a smile, helped him carry them home. It was a small gesture, but as she did it, she glanced at the heart tree. A single leaf, just one, began to shine with a soft, warm light. Encouraged, Lena continued. She saw a traveler sitting by the road, looking hungry and tired. She took out the piece of bread her mother had packed for her and shared it without a moment's hesitation. Another leaf on the heart tree flickered to life. Later, she found a younger child sitting alone by the riverbank, crying softly. Lena sat down, put her arm around the child, and comforted them until their tears subsided. With each kind act, another leaf on the heart tree would begin to glow. The growing light didn't go unnoticed. Murk, from his perch in the shadows, felt the warmth spreading, a pinprick of light in his encroaching darkness. He grew furious. This wasn't supposed to happen. "Stop this kindness!" he roared, his voice like grinding stones. He gathered his power and sent even deeper, colder shadows pouring into the valley, hoping to smother the fledgling light. But then, something truly unexpected happened. The darkness didn't snuff out the light. Instead, Lina's actions ignited a spark in others. When people saw her helping the old man, they remembered their own duty to their elders. When they saw her sharing her bread, they remembered the generosity that had once defined their community. Her simple, persistent goodness was contagious. It reminded everyone of who they used to be. Slowly at first, and then with growing confidence, the people of Bright Valley began to choose goodness again. The baker, who had been hoarding his flour, started baking extra loaves and sharing them freely with anyone who needed one. A group of children, inspired by Lina, gathered together and started cleaning the debris that had collected in the river, making the water run clear once more. Neighbors who had been locked in bitter arguments over trivial matters sought each other out, apologized, and forgave old grudges. Each act of kindness, no matter how small, was a victory. With every shared loaf of bread, every helping hand, every word of forgiveness, the heart tree shone brighter and brighter. Soon, it wasn't just a few leaves glowing, but entire branches. The light grew, spreading from the tree like ripples in a pond, pushing the oppressive grayness and the heavy shadows back toward the rocky hills. Merc watched in disbelief, his rage turning to confusion and then to fear. How can this be? He screamed into the growing light. I am strong. My darkness is powerful. But Merc had forgotten a fundamental truth. Evil can be terrifying, it can isolate people and make them afraid, but it cannot grow on its own. It needs fear and selfishness to survive. Goodness, on the other hand, is a seed. When it is shared, it grows, multiplies, and creates more of itself. The people of Bright Valley weren't fighting Merc with weapons, they were fighting him with compassion, and it was a battle the darkness could not win. Feeling his power wane, Merc made a final, desperate move. He materialized at the edge of the valley, a towering figure of swirling shadow and malice. His voice thundered across the fields, shaking the very ground. Choose. He boomed. You can have fear, and the power it brings. Or you can have this fleeting, weak kindness. Make your choice. The valley fell silent. The people looked at the terrifying form of Merc, and for a moment, a flicker of fear returned. But then, Lina, the small child who started it all, stepped forward. She faced the monstrous creature without flinching. Her voice was calm and clear as it rang out across the valley. We choose good, she said simply. We choose it today, we will choose it tomorrow. We choose it even when it is difficult. As she spoke, the other villagers moved to stand beside her. The baker, the gardener, the children, the neighbors who had forgiven each other, they all stood together, a united front of quiet determination. In that moment, as the entire valley stood together in their choice, the heart tree erupted in a brilliant, blinding flash of pure, golden light. It was warmer and brighter than the sun. The light surged across the valley, striking Merc directly. He didn't explode or cry out in pain. Instead, as the light washed over him, he began to shrink. The terrifying, towering figure grew smaller and weaker, the shadows that formed him dissolving into nothingness. In a matter of seconds, he vanished, not destroyed, but rendered utterly powerless, his essence scattered by the overwhelming force of shared goodness. Peace, true and deep, returned to Bright Valley. The sky cleared, revealing a brilliant blue. The air was fresh and sweet again. And the heart tree glowed with a radiance stronger and more beautiful than ever before. Its light was a constant, gentle reminder of the battle they had won. The old gardener smiled, a peaceful look on his face. Good always wins, he said softly to Lina. Not because it is louder or more powerful in a single moment, but because it is chosen. Again, and again, and again. The people of Bright Valley learned a lesson they would never forget. Evil may grow through fear, but goodness will always triumph through kindness and the simple, courageous choice to share it. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more tales that warm the heart. See you next time.